All right, traders, what's up? This is watch this video for Tuesday, October 22nd, showing you a chart of the SPY. Let's zoom in a little bit. I mean, it looks like a little dot. That was today's range. It was really, really dead. I barely traded at all today. I still had an okay day, but there was not a lot going on. Here's what I'm watching for tomorrow. So Beyond Meat, they came out with a story this morning. I think they got downgraded, but they also a story about Dunkin' Donuts increasing usage of the breakfast sandwich or something. Anyway, this one has really just fallen off a cliff. I mean, it's down almost 10 days in a row. You had this one little hiccup. I think it's worth watching for a bounce. I think there's probably a lot of shorts in the name. It's I would prefer, see how it ran around 100 here for like a week or two. I would prefer this actually would take out 100 first, but as a day trader, I think it's overdue for a bounce. And one thing I look at when I'm looking for a bounce, I kind of go to 15-minute candles, right? And I go back several days when I think something's oversold. And what I'm looking for is an afternoon high of day break. All right, so there's your opening candle today. Never broke its high, right? And then let's go back. Yesterday, day before, day before, day before, day before. You just keep going. This has not had an afternoon high of day break. That would be here, right? Near the end of the day, or here, or here. You just don't have it. So if this did break in the afternoon, break its early high, you could get a little mini short squeeze. So in short, that's my favorite setup, my favorite way to play an oversold stock. All right, so kind of keep with that in mind. That's kind of what I'm looking for BYND, an afternoon high of day break. Those can be pretty powerful on something really oversold. Same thing with CRWD. It's just hitting new all-time lows every day. It's been straight down since it almost hit 70 back here. It has not broken a previous day's high. And this is probably the third day in a row that it hit new all-time lows. Let's go to 15-minute candles. You'll notice the same thing. You had a break of here's the opening 15-minute candles high. You did have a break here and a nice move, but then it sold off again and hit new lows for the day. You did not have an afternoon high of day break. Same thing with the day before, day before, day before, day before, day before, and here you kind of had a midday afternoon break and you kind of got a decent spike. But so that's what I'm watching also on CRWD. NET, recent IPO, just new all-time lows today. That one also goes on bounce watch. ENDP, couple red days after a big volume push. This one, ETFA and MNK all got a nice pop today. If you go to 5-minute candles, it's that big pop they got today on, I don't even know how to word it, a possible end to the litigation against these companies. It's probably going to involve a massive payout though, and that's kind of why I think, and I'll switch to Teva too, that's kind of why I think like Teva had this huge spike, but then gave most of it back. You know, people hear, okay, maybe everything's in its rear view mirror, but nothing, I don't think any final numbers have been given, and then people go, yeah, wait a minute, maybe they're just going to get decimated, you know, and maybe they won't be able to sell opioids at any near the volume anymore. So there's so many things that can happen with stories like these, Teva and MNK and ENDP, that I'm not in love with the story or the idea of trading them. But let me go back to ENDP. So I still think it is worth watching again for an afternoon breakout. This one had to make a big move today just to break its early highs. But that's kind of what I'm thinking there. ENDP, BPTH. Let me zoom in a little bit. This one went crazy. Remember this back here in March? Went all the way up over 70. Now let's zoom in and get that. Let's zoom in and get that big candle out of there so we can kind of get a better view of what's happened recently. You did have a decent spike about a week ago that topped out at 12, and then today another nice volume spike. Keep in mind, a nice volume spike for this stock, either one of these two big days, still wasn't 500,000 shares. So this thing trades what I call stupid thin. I'm not sure if I even like the fact that it's on the list, but I'll keep it on the list. I put it in my notes earlier today when it was trading around 13. It ends up trading or closing closer to 12, which makes me like it a lot less. But it doesn't cost me anything to have it on a chart. It does feel like, you know, it had this pop here and it didn't roll over this time, so it feels like maybe it's finally bottomed. Who knows, right? Fran, certainly a very recent, relatively strong stock, and then you had the reversal on Friday, and then today started to sell off but had a nice close. I don't know. I feel like Fran needs to come in some more. It's a very tough trader, but I put it on watch. Teva, talked about this one already, closing well off its highs. Maybe these things go red to green tomorrow and give us a trade. PETS, big breakout today. Let me pan way out here. The big resistance on this was around 24, right? Like for two or 3 or 4 months. And then today gaps up on earnings and just, I'm assuming this was on earnings, and just ripped. And a pretty strong close, all things considered. So while it's way ahead of itself on the chart, we might get a red to green and just follow through day. Sometimes you get another big day right after one. So goes on watch. SOLY, kind of having like an inverse head and shoulders over the past couple months, and it's curling up here. My problem with this one was the news. The news was something like they're going to talk about the results or something of a study, and so it didn't really allude to if they're going to be great results or not. So check the news on this one before you get too interested in it. But you got to like that it broke through 14 here on decent volume for the stock. Again, still not even 1 million shares. Maybe a follow through day tomorrow, but that is another thin one, right? CTST. The pot stocks were kind of strong today, and this one had this 2-day bounce, and really it's just kind of flagging again. Goes back on watch. I'd like to see, like before, I'd like to see an afternoon breakout in this one. BBBY is right back up to the 200-day. The high from the 2-day run it had after the gap was 13.14. I think it gapped up on news that they had a new CEO, I think. Someone that was affiliated with Target before, and Target's been really on fire here. So let's keep our eyes on it. Bed Bath & Beyond topped out the second day at 13.14, and it's found its way back up there again. You'll notice that's right at the 200-day, which could give it a problem, but we'll see. What is next? PRQR. Feels like it's bottomed here. It's been chopping around for like a month, and a little extra volume today and kind of curling up out of this range. So that one goes on watch. XBIO. I'll have to zoom in a little bit on this thing so you can see it. There, you had this big spike last week, and then it's kind of curling back up again. Last week it topped out at 196. Today it topped out at 166. So over today's high, maybe it makes a run at this $2 area. So we're going to watch that one. NVTR had this big spike on Friday that went all the way to 218 before giving a lot of it back, but then today kind of a quiet inside day. I like it over today's high over 190, 191-ish. We'll see how it trades after the market opens. And a couple more. STMP. This one, pretty beaten up stock. That's the daily chart, and just got decimated here, sideways for a while, decimated here, and then slowly climbing back up. And then in after hours, they had a nice news story. And as I'm talking right now, it's trading at 94.28. So a possible gap and go tomorrow. It looks like it topped out around 100 back here. So certainly, maybe, if it gets up over 100, you're kind of up into this gap. Certainly worth watching tomorrow, though. And then lastly, TACO, TACO, which in after hours, they had earnings, is trading at 8.44. The reason it's interesting to me, let me go to the weekly chart here. So the weekly chart, basically back here you hit 837 that week and 843, and it's set to open basically down here at all-time lows. From what I saw on earnings, I think they beat on earnings. I'm not sure about revenue, but their guidance for the rest of 19 or for 19 total was lowered. Either way, when you get a gap down and the stock's really this beaten up anyway, you get a gap down near all-time lows. I'm actually thinking long tomorrow, so we'll see. There's the daily again. So we'll see what it looks like at the open. But it could be, sometimes you get a stock gap down. Look what it did back here. Gapped way down and just ran for like 2 weeks straight. So anyway, if it opens around where it's trading now, around the 8.5 area, I'm thinking long if it gives me a decent setup, all right? That's plenty to watch. We'll add some gappers to this list as well, and we'll see y'all chat tomorrow. Have a good night.